Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting the like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now, today I fancied going for a bit of a mix of stories. There might be some with updates, some with not. We got some malicious compliance / HOA stories, some am I overreacting? You know, just a bit of everything, what's been popping out to me during the week and I've been saving. So our first one comes from Fuck HOA. It was also cross-posted to malicious compliance from Parody TX, who says, only one front lawn decoration allowed. You got it. One of my many HOA stories when I was regrettably a member for the longest 2 years of my life was regarding decorations. All of our homes had a porch and rules regarding front of house decorations. The R&R said you could only have one decoration. Fine. Had no desire for any decorations at all in my front lawn. We did put 2 nice chairs on our porch to use on pleasant evenings with a sunset potential. We received a notice regarding our violation of having 2 decorations in front of our house, and the R&R only allowed 1, and we had 24 hours to comply. Alrighty then. I removed both chairs from the porch. I searched for hours online for the most obnoxious decoration I could find, because the R&R made absolutely no mention of what the decoration could or could not be, only that you could only have 1 item. I ended up with an at least 7-foot tall blow-up sphere with an obnoxious, naked, mermaid-like thing floating inside it, flapping like one of those windman devices at a car dealer. I also posted a small sign stating, surveillance camera in operation, smile, to curb any vandalism ideas. The HOA bod went absolutely nuts. I received no less than 6 letters in 2 days about how inappropriate, vile, and other various adjectives my decoration was, and that I was obliged to remove it. I responded with a certified return receipt letter with the appropriate section of the R&R highlighted and invited them to return mail with the exact language that my decoration was in violation of, and failure to do so with continuing violation notices would result in legal action on my part against all the bod members. This went on for about a month, and finally my lawyer buddy sent them a threatening notice on their letterhead, stating that depositions and full financial disclosures from each and every member would be demanded for discovery purposes in my damaged lawsuits, unless I received an acknowledgement of their errors and a formal apology. They waffled for about a week, then caved. Got a written apology published in the HOA newsletter signed by all the bod members. The next HOA meeting resulted in a rules change that porches were excluded from the decoration restrictions, and that all lawn decorations needed to be smaller than 4 feet in height. Many of the homeowners came to thank me for my resistance and results. Like I said, moved away after 2 years from my job and never considered an HOA since. Every realtor we worked with, that was absolutely no way rule number 1. I absolutely love stories like that. My petty brain, and I know it didn't happen like this, I like to imagine that, you know, all the HOA members sat around a table together having to sign this apology letter to send to OP and grumbling about it at the same time. Oh, just tickles me, that does. Puppy says, did you keep the sphere up as it was grandfathered in? OP says, nah. Wife hated it as much as the HOA did. I donated it to a frat house one town over to use during rush week. It was a big hit apparently. Miss Ginger also says, anyone else who finds themselves in this situation, my recommendation is a drink or snack vending machine. I was in an apartment and they got mad at my wicker love seat, said it wasn't outdoor, so I found a vending machine and its manual that specifically talked about outdoor installation. So it went on my porch and they complained so much but couldn't do anything as 1. It wasn't public accessible, 3rd floor, 2. It was functional, 3. It was installed outdoor. Kept it there for the rest of the 2 years I was there, set to free vend. My friends loved it when they came over. Another commenter said, HOAs are evil. We rented a place with an HOA. The owners were desperate to sell. I'm grateful for the experience because it taught me to never buy a place with an HOA. We got violation notices for plants on the balcony. for my toddler's son's tricycle being outside for 5 minutes while we went in for a potty break, for our stepladder on the balcony, while I was on the stepladder changing a light bulb. The owners wanted to know why we did not buy the place. It was very nice otherwise, but we specifically told them it was the HOA SS Patrol. No way I was dealing with them forever. And also, just to drop this, because on HOA stories, there's always comments below saying that they live in an HOA and it's absolutely perfect for them. So, I don't know. I've never lived in an HOA, and we only usually see the worst of the worst in these stories. Otherwise, no one's posting on Reddit about their glorious HOA. But just to throw that out there, and let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from the Am I Overreacting subreddit from particular Ability49, who says, Am I overreacting? Husband sent me a voice memo of our baby crying while I was out. My friend asked me last minute today if we could get together for a quick visit. We haven't seen each other lately, and I haven't gone anywhere on my own in almost a month. I have a 4-month-old baby at home, and I'm EBF, exclusively breastfeeding. Hubby was out of town for work today. He had an early start, so I called him and asked if it would be okay if I went out for a bit tonight with my friend to get a drink or treat. He said it was all good and even encouraged it. I fed the baby and left at 6:50 p.m. While my friend was driving, I texted my hubby and said to let me know if the baby is having a really hard time while we're out. He said okay, and asked if we could stop to get more pull-ups for our oldest son before we came back home because he ran out. I said yeah, we're going our way back home, and that I'd wake my oldest and put a pull-up on him when I got home. Around 7:35, he sends me a voice memo. I didn't play it because my friend and I were chatting, and I assumed it was either my older son saying goodnight or my baby babbling and laughing. He sent his mum a voice memo of him laughing a couple of weeks ago. I should also add that we never send each other voice memos unless it was of our oldest son saying goodnight or good morning when one of us would be out of town for work. We went straight to the store after that to get the pull-ups, then headed back to my house. I get home around 8 p.m. and sat in the car with my friend chatting a bit longer before coming inside. We pretty much always do this, so I didn't think it was an issue. And he texts me at 8:10 asking what I'm doing out front. I told him we're just chatting, so I tell my friend I better get inside and see how the baby is doing. We knew it would be a short visit anyways. I get inside and the baby is sleeping, but then he wakes up, so I pick him up and go feed him. I remembered about the voice memo, so I played it, and it was of our baby crying. My husband comes upstairs and I ask him why he sent me a voice memo of the baby crying, and he said, "You told me to let you know if he was having a hard time." I said, "Yeah, I told you to text me. I was chatting with my friend, so I didn't listen to the voice memo until just now when I got home. I thought it was oldest son saying goodnight or baby babbling or laughing. I thought you would text me if something was wrong, not send me a voice memo of him crying." I told him I thought it was really weird he did that. I wasn't even gone for long. He said, I don't know, I'm just really tired. Then he didn't say anything else about it and just went to bed. I know he had a long day with work and having to drive out of town today, which is why I asked in the first place if he'd be okay with me going out for a little visit. I understand him being tired, but it just seems really weird to me and almost manipulative that he sent me a voice memo of our baby crying while I was out for about 45 minutes. Am I wrong for thinking that? Unhappy says you're not wrong for feeling weird about it. Sending a crying memo instead of a text feels a little passive-aggressive, especially since he knew you were out briefly and had checked in beforehand. It sounds like frustration disguised as communication. Opie says thank you for the validating comment. I think you're right, and he has every right and reason to feel frustrated. However, I experience this frustration the majority of the day when the baby is inconsolable and only wants to nurse. My husband only has to deal with it for a short period while I shower or make dinner, and then once in a while that I leave the house. Unaware says it is very manipulative. You went out and he sent you a voice note of the baby crying? He couldn't figure it out? What did he do when the older kid cried and you were not there? This is not his first kid. Opie says I raised my first baby on my own until he was 3.5 when I met my husband. So he's taking care of a toddler/young child, but this is his first baby. Mongo says not overreacting. To me, sending a voice memo of your baby crying was an attempt to make sure you felt guilted into coming home. Mums go out, babies cry, dads learn to soothe their child. It was less than an hour. You said the baby was sleeping when you came home. It sounds like your husband overreacted. Opie replies saying thank you, this is exactly how it felt. that he wanted me to feel guilty and come home right away. I still would have come home if he texted me saying the baby was having a really hard time, but the voice memo felt unnecessary and honestly uncomfortable. Background replied to that saying, that was the point. It was supposed to be uncomfortable so you'd come home and save him from having to actually parent his child. Honestly, you should have a discussion about this now before it gets worse. If you want an actual partner and an equal parent for your kids, don't let this slide. Opie says, that's what I was afraid of. I'll definitely be having a discussion about it. This isn't the first issue either. This one just really rubbed me the wrong way, and I needed to know if I was overreacting. I appreciate the advice. And I gotta say, as I was reading that, it definitely felt like a bit manipulative to me as well. There was just no reason to actually just send a voice memo of a baby crying. Imagine receiving that. That's gonna be distressing, and you're like, what the fuck's happening? With no context behind it whatsoever. I imagine if she did pick it up when she was out of the restaurant, she would have left immediately and tried to rush back home because of what was going on. And she was only out for less than an hour. It shouts there's bigger things going on, but what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from the Oh No Consequences subreddit that was originally from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit. It's from the user Am I the Arsehole Minecraft World, who says, Am I the Arsehole for deleting my son's Minecraft world? I have 2 children, a 9-year-old son and a 6-year-old daughter. My son had a Minecraft world where he built quite an impressive castle on an island, which he was very proud to show to me. Since school was cancelled, he had issues with waking up on time. He's supposed to wake up at 7 each morning, but for the past month, he's been sleeping in until around 9 or 10. I always set an alarm for him, but he sleeps right through it. I don't wake him up because waking himself up is a skill that he needs to learn. I told him about 2 weeks ago that there are going to be consequences for him if he continues to sleep in every morning. At first he understood and was waking up on time every morning, but for the past week or so, he has fallen back into old habits. I told him yesterday that this is his final warning. Today he slept until 11. So I followed through with my warning and went on the computer and deleted his favorite Minecraft world. I also took away his computer privileges for the next month. When I told him, he started screaming and crying. He told me that he spent a whole year working on that world, and he's very distraught and he's never going to see it again. He's been crying and sobbing throughout the day and has refused to eat any of his meals. Gee bloody whiz. I mean, the punishment in this had like zero connection to the air quotes crime. He's not waking up on time, so you destroy something that he's proud of that he made, that he loves to show you because he's so proud of it. What do you think that's going to teach him? Do you think that's suddenly going to teach him time management? It just teaches him the people who love me is going to destroy things I care about when they're angry. How about just stepping in and giving him an earlier bedtime instead? Just comes across as incredibly cruel, and I just feel so sorry for that kid. But YCT says, you're the arsehole. Parenting is more about finding ways to get your child to succeed than negative punishment. Not only will your goal of having him wake up not be met, you've created additional hardship on your child during these unprecedented times. He's 9. The punishment did not fit the crime. Comrade says, you're the arsehole. The appropriate solution is to make sure your kid goes to bed earlier. If he can't wake up, it's because you aren't getting him to bed early enough. It takes a few nights to adjust to an earlier bedtime too. Turn off the computer on school nights. No screen time 2 hours before bed. Sheesh, you don't punish the kid for a failure to parent. You parent better instead. Commander says, you're the arsehole. He is 9. Yes, waking up is a skill that one needs to learn, but children don't learn this way. 10 isn't even that late. You destroyed something your son worked hard on. You violated his trust, and you severely damaged your relationship with him. And one more comment which says, good for you. You've taught your son an important lesson. Never share anything you're excited or happy about with your parents, because it can and will be weaponized when they're unhappy with you. This is an important life lesson that will serve him well as he learns to keep every aspect of himself a secret from you, up until he turns 18 and cuts you out from his life entirely. Congratulations, you're the arsehole. But now, I'm going to turn this one straight to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. Our next story comes from a deleted user who said my ex proposed. I said no. He is now talking about suing me. Advice? Just want to say this is going to sound insane, but I'm not trolling or making it up. Me and this guy were together for 3 years. We're 19 now. We never talked about the future until a year in. Before then, I tried to discuss it and he would change the subject. In short, I wanted kids. He didn't. I wanted to stay in Ireland. He didn't. I wanted to get married. He didn't. When I realized it was a bad match, I broke it off, but he asked to get back together, saying we were too young to worry about the future, and we got back together. This happened a few times over the next 18 months. In this time, we probably spent more time apart than together. We knew early on that we wanted different things, and while marriage and kids are something I would want further down the line, I wasn't concerned about his open dislike of marriage and kids because 19 is too young to get married anyway. If I were dating him 10 or 15 years from now and he didn't want to get married, then I might have an issue. But when I'm barely out of my teens, it's not a huge concern. And just loving him and wanting to be with him is enough. When I went to see him this time, I was again considering breaking up with him. Aside from the long-term issues, he is also inconsiderate and has a mean streak that I really don't like. So when I arrived at his place, mentally debating breaking up with him for good this time, and he told me he wanted to take me out to dinner. I assumed he wanted to break up too, publicly, so I wouldn't cause a scene. I don't normally cause a scene, but being in public tends to prevent yelling, and we both yell every time we break up. In the last year, he has asked me 2 things that, looking back now, stand out to me. First, he asked about jewelry, what kind of stuff I liked, and what my taste was. I assumed it was because my birthday was coming up and he was getting me a bracelet or something, so I told him simple and delicate, silver or steel rather than gold. If there was a color, then blue. Nothing flashy or expensive, as both my job prefers plain jewelry and it's just my personal preference. I also said, go cheap. The other thing he asked me was how I felt about public proposals. I told him immediately that I personally disliked them, as I felt I wouldn't be able to say no even if I wanted to. I feel like public proposals are okay when they've been specifically requested and agreed on, but one that's totally out of the blue is not okay at all. I assumed he was asking about this because his friend had just proposed to his girlfriend of several years, publicly, and she accepted but admitted to him after that she would have preferred something private. I never thought in a million years that he would propose. So you can imagine my shock when we went out to dinner and the first thing he did was propose. The ring was huge, gold, gaudy, red gems around a diamond, and the whole thing was the size and shape of a Super Bowl ring. He got on one knee and held it out to me. We're in the middle of this popular restaurant and the place was packed. Everyone there could see what was going on and wasn't trying to hide that they were looking at us. I said no. Well, I didn't so much say no. I ran out the restaurant. He drove me there, so I got a cab back and drove home that night. I realized running out wasn't the best thing to do, but I didn't know what else to do. I could feel everyone's eyes on me, and all I knew was that I didn't want to marry him or accept his proposal. I felt like I couldn't even speak. I was so upset about the whole thing, so I just got up and ran. I just want to take the opportunity to say here that I really don't care about the rings. Honestly, when I want to get married, which is absolutely not when I'm 19 years old, the right person could just turn to me and say, "Want to get married?" and I'd say yes. I wouldn't even need a ring. I know I'm focusing on the ring and the public proposal a lot, but that's only because of 1, how far away it was from what I told him my taste was, and 2, what happened next. I didn't hear from him until a few weeks later. He said that he thought a proposal was something I'd want, but he saw now that it wasn't. He said that he was out of pocket for the rings. He bought us both the same one and gotten them engraved. He linked me to the jeweler's website and the ring was up for €1,450, about $1,650 or £1,300. When I asked why he was telling me this, he said he'd hoped I would cover the cost of mine. He said that as they'd been engraved, he couldn't get a refund. He hoped that I would say yes to the proposal, in which he wouldn't have asked me to pay, but I said no. He also said I'd embarrassed him by saying no in public, and should have said yes, and if I was really against it, to say no when we were alone. We both live in small towns where gossip spreads at church. Enough people were at the restaurant that night that both of us got asked about it on church on Sunday. He has since messaged me saying he's debating calling in a lawyer to sue me for the cost of my ring. And he also says that I've caused him emotional distress by turning him down in public and have publicly humiliated him for both rejecting his proposal in public and leaving him to deal with church gossip, which I had no part in spreading. He says he can also get some money off me for those other two things. So €1,450 for what he spent on my ring and extra money for emotional distress and public humiliation. I think his legal claims are all bullshit, and he wouldn't have a leg to stand on in a court of law. But I am not a law student or a lawyer. He is studying law currently and has an internship at a legal firm. What do I do about all of this? Do I need to prepare myself for a lawsuit, or is it not even worth worrying about? Thanks in advance. Edits, he knew I wanted to get married, but not to him. Not only knew this, but said he had no intention of marrying me either. He openly despised marriage right up until the time he proposed, and he knows that we want different things out of marriage. And I told him that this was why I was breaking up with him, the times before this that have ended the relationship. During the course of our relationship, he's also said stuff like, we're too young to think about marriage. It's not like we're getting married, and my favorite, it's not like I'm gonna propose. That one was last April. Edit 2, his mother has reached out to me apologizing for her son's actions. She has said that nothing will come of this, and that she raised an idiot. And this was on the legal advice subreddit as well, and people were basically saying, he doesn't really have a leg to stand on here. Maybe if you accepted it initially and then turned him down later and privately, he might have more of a leg to stand on. But probably still wouldn't done anything, and he's probably bluffing anyway just to try and get you to hand over money. But what do you guys make of this one? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.